Okay, I'd like to call the meeting to order. I don't see,
Yes.
so I guess our first item is the minutes from what, September?
It is too long ago. He doesn't mean anything.
Are there any substantial corrections? Okay, the chair will entertain a motion to accept as presented.
I move to accept.
Okay, and a second. Okay, Juliana just raised her hand. I'll take that as a, okay,
a
so
second.
anybody
I was
opposed
looking away
to
from the screen.
accept, to approving the minutes as presented? That brings us down to our old business items of park updates. Do we have any updates on what's happening in the different parks?
Well, I did finally get out to Mount Hope. And I'll get, Jennifer, I'll get you a list of places where the hazard trees, but the boardwalk area is underwater.
Yeah,
Yeah.
The beavers have changed the level of the pond.
yes,
Yeah.
they have.
Yeah, we need another ambitious Eagle Scout to extend the project done.
Well, Andrew went with me on the inspection,
Yeah,
and he was very encouraged because the boardwalk was still there and it was basically floating.
yes.
But
Quentin is in the process of joining us.
Jim, who moved that the minutes should be approved?
Charlotte, I believe.
Charlotte and Juliana seconded.
Okay,
Juliana
not
seconded.
Juliana, but I'd looked away when the first thing was.
Thank you.
So we
Uh,
also had a hike at Simpson. And it was
Yeah.
interesting because nobody signed up for it. Maybe one person, but in fact,
Yeah.
a lot of people came. So a little lesson in making sure you show up for your hike.
Yeah. Yeah, we had what, 8 people?
I think so, 8 or 9. I think.
Yeah. Who,
I think Walktober people aren't necessarily used to signing up for things. And
Yeah.
so that's one of the things. So we didn't make the brochure. It was so early that they needed it in for the brochure. But it was publicized online. And so that's where probably people found out about it.
yeah. And I did get John DeWolf when we went to Starbucks after church to show up.
Oh,
Yeah. So, this personal recruiting.
right.
Okay, so that I guess brings us to Pollinator Pathways.
I just put that on the agenda because I know some of you are involved with that, and I didn't know if you wanted to give an update for, but I thought I would just keep it as a standing agenda unless you all feel differently.
Yeah.
Standing agenda item.
But I didn't think back to the last, Charlotte may help, most of the discussion seemed to be about keeping the regional Pollinator Pathways website, making it more friendly and providing information.
Yeah, and I think it's going to have to be updated, and then eventually we'll know how to add things to the map.
Yeah,
And using that criteria, we can put on town properties.
yeah,
And speaking of which, you probably have noticed, speaking of pollinators and pollinator pathways, I have talked with Public Works about the mowing of the fields, and they haven't done any mowing. If would now be an okay time to begin from a pollinator perspective? Because I worry that they're going to miss the opportunity. You know, you get snow, and then it's just kind of a fine line for our Public Works staff. So would now be an okay anytime now until, you know, next season?
There's that question of leaving overwintering habitat, which suggests you might want to mow half of everything. You know,
yeah,
on a every other year mowing half.
Okay,
So
Yeah.
that we don't see anything going on, but there's things that are either overwintering as eggs
Yeah.
or as adults. And they do that in stalks of dead stuff.
And I
It's
can't
my
imagine-
understanding that, you know, the foraging for pollen and nectar drops off at about 50 degrees.
Yeah, I think it's just the leaf litter, the things that are hibernating in the leaf litter, basically. that are-
Yeah,
And the standing dead stems, which is why the mowing is an issue.
yeah,
But I can't imagine that Public Works will complain about only having to mow half of what they used to.
well, it's almost as if they're there and they're mobilized, and so that's the hard part is all of that. Once they're there, the mowing is not that big of a deal, but I'll talk to Will Gresh about that.
They need to remember which half they mowed, so
Exactly.
the next year that half that wasn't mowed does get mowed, because
Well,
otherwise.
right,
it's-
I'm gonna have to, I think I'll have to give them some direction, yeah.
To process that. Well, if they always mow, say the east side or, you know, whatever, as you come in, mow the right one in the even years and the left in the odd years, some little thing that they only don't have to think specifically.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
And that, you know, they have, everything is on a, like a computer program now, so that's how they get their kind of instructions. So I
Yeah.
think that I can work with Will to do something.
the Connecticut Trail Finder.
So I have not had a chance to upload all of our trails or to proof the remaining trails that need to be uploaded. So I'm hoping maybe I'll have some time in the winter to kind of do that. It's it basically I need like an hour per park, and I haven't had it. So I need to figure out how to prioritize and get that done.
Has everybody visited the website? It's starting to come together quite nicely. You know, as a central resource for trails across the state.
Jennifer, is that something an intern could do?
Yep, if we had an intern, they definitely could do it.
Yeah.
You know, what it is it's like you need punchy language, you know, and you need to then check all the, I need to just, maybe over the winter break for UConn, I can actually work with UConn, with our engineering interns. I can help them. The engineers aren't the punchiest writers, but they are good at the technical stuff. So maybe I could just get them, we could do that. So
You need nature-minded interns for this? I mean, I'm sure I know students who might be interested in getting involved.
it would be kind of a discrete project for like 2 or 3 weeks over the
Yep.
break.
Mhm.
It would be unpaid if they wanted to do a project. If you know of something, you just contact me offline, and I'd be happy to.
Well, the other thing is that I actually manage a listserv for undergraduates interested in opportunities in ecology and stuff like that. So basically I can just send out blurbs saying this is what, so if I had a little bit of text saying what it is,
Yep.
then I have a way to contact undergrads who are looking to gain experience in the field. And some of them would jump at it, even though it's not paid and things like that, just because they're looking for a way to get experience doing it.
Yeah.
Okay, let me,
Yeah, the other thing,
So it's something to think about.
yeah,
yeah, the other thing I'm thinking is that where it's public links that would become permanent, it would, they could send the potential employer to look at what they've done.
yeah. I think it's not that heavy of a lift for me. I just have to sit and like get and do it. I have to sit still and do it is basically what I have to do.
But one way to get free labor from the student interns in quotes is with a willing faculty member who's willing to count it as an independent study.
Yeah,
And I'm definitely willing to do that for certain things. It depends on having something that's large enough that it counts for credit. And something that if it's just a short little project, you'd probably want it to be compiled with other things.
Okay,
And then
Well,
it could add up to something like that
Yeah,
for
but
sure.
you know, 1 credit isn't much, 2 or 3 credits. And yes, it would have to be significant.
Yeah, so the general thing is that per credit, it's supposed to be typically an average of about 3 hours a week for your typical 14-week semester or
Yeah.
something like that.
okay.
So that's, I think 3 hours, and let me double check that, but it's something akin to that.
Okay,
So there is an hourly estimate, and I'm gonna double check on any of that before I swear to it.
if you want to send me an email and
Yeah.
that would get me going and I can start and, yeah.
Yeah, and it might not be something you want for this, but I do have an inroad to that and to contacting undergrads for that also, because I teach one of the intro level courses
Great.
in that.
Yeah.
So.
Miranda, it is 3 hours a week for 1 credit.
yeah. If, I'm wondering how much field work could be combined in with it, doing plant surveys and stuff along the trails.
Except not in January.
No, it's, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, trees in winter and shrubs in winter require quite a bit of expertise. I'm still going to Laura Brown's book, Weeds in Winter, on many occasions.
That's a good one.
Okay, our meeting calendar for next year.
Yeah, so I have, we had discussed doing it every other month. And so I put down every other month beginning January 18th on the third Tuesday of the month. So if you agree with that, we just need a motion for adoption. I did check that against the major religious holidays.
Yeah,
I so move.
okay, a second. I see Juliana's hand again.
I'll second if nobody else.
I'll
did.
second that.
Okay. We have, so the motion is continue to meet basically on the same schedule we've been meeting. Anybody opposed? I hear silent, so I guess it passed unanimously.
Yeah, the one suggestion I do have is that because of the potential for needing special meetings as we build all these apartments in town,
Yeah.
or not, depending on UConn,
Yeah,
we, each of us, keep the non-meeting month open on our calendars as an easy way to schedule a special meeting.
that sounds like good personal policy.
And maybe call that try to keep it.
Yes. Yeah. I know you and David want to leave to Aruba in February, right?
Well, maybe.
Okay. Spring program ideas?
So we need, the content is due for the brochure on January 22nd, which comes very quickly. And I could use a couple of ideas. It runs from March to early June. So I know Jim and Charlotte they've been doing a lot of walks at Simpson Wood, and Sue and Tom usually do something, and I'm gonna ask Aaron King, who did a birding event last spring, which was really popular. So, but any other ideas? It's easy. It's one day, or one afternoon, and you just lead the hike, and we take care of registration and promotion. So if you have any, if you would like to lead a walk during that time, you can just email me offline.
Okay, so we have to step up by the 22nd of January, actually a
Yeah.
week or so before that, so we can
Yeah.
get things drafted into the
Yeah.
draft.
Yeah, so generally, like, Earth Day, it would be good to do something, and then May for a birding event, frog, spring peepers, things like that would be.
The spring ephemeral flowers and stuff might be
Yep.
somebody with some expertise in those. Yeah.
So just let me know.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Recreational Trails Program grant.
Do you want me to give? So.
Yeah.
So
I can do a little on it.
Okay.
Jennifer set up with Claire Kane from the Park and Forest Association and a Zoom meeting, and John Hankins joined us, and to talk about Jennifer and I actually thought we were looking for support for from Park and Forest to do a trail grant. With all the construction that's going on by, I guess we have to call it Mansfield Elementary School instead of Southeast. The concept of getting a linking stuff like this up by Liberty Bank for a crossing from the school over to the parklands on the other side. Of course, there's also the Mansfield Hollow Park kind of surrounding the school. And Claire volunteered to roll it into her grant at the Park and Forest Association large grant. So she took care of putting the grant in and so forth. For it's left kind of vague, but in your packet, I guess it's down on page 10, there's some details of what was included and stuff in the grant.
Yeah, we have like 77,000 or 78,000 actually to do. Basically, it'd be 2 flashers, a crosswalk, some major signage at the bus stop, promotional materials, a community, public meeting, and some wayfinding signage. And the majority of that of the cost comes from the safety improvements down at the school. So I think it will be a great project.
And it's picking up on the safe routes to school sidewalk that runs along Route 89 from 195. So that ties into the bus stop, and then the different crossing there would allow you to connect up to the Nipmunk Trail, which comes out at the bus stop up on Spring Hill by the Historical Society. So our part of the grant should get lots of points for different things.
I'm confused. Are there going to be 2 crossings?
One crossing, but 2 flashers.
Well,
So there has to be
on
one on
89.
two signalized
Yeah.
flashers on 89 across from the elementary school.
Okay, because it's a little confusing in the letter with the reference to Southeast Park Little League schools.
Oh,
Yeah,
and the letter from Ryan.
I guess that's referring to the ones next to Southeast. I was
Yeah.
thinking soccer fields and getting confused.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't go down. I looked at the link to the comments. And I got the end.
So that should improve the safety there. I hadn't really noticed how till I stopped to explore that area as we were getting ready for the grant, my way back from the dump. How short the sight lines and stuff were for that crossing.
Yeah, I think it's going to benefit in a lot of ways. And yeah, so, hopefully they'll get that full amount. If not, if they don't get the full amount, they are committed to doing some aspect of the project and we can just renegotiate. And, maybe the schools need to pay for the signalized light because they have to slow traffic there anyways. So, but it was just,
Yeah.
it was a really nice, collaborative effort with CFPA, and it was so nice
Yeah.
that we were excited to do this, and they saw it as a way for them to get more points on their grant. And boy, it took a lot of pressure off me. It took, because you have to go to the town council and all that, and we
Yeah.
would have had to have a special meeting, so it was great.
Mhm. Okay, so that brings us to the mailing the large forest owners. There's a copy of the town manager's letter and stuff in our packet.
So thank you, Vicky, who helped Vicky and I worked together to just identify large forest landowners over it was mainly over 10 acres, but mainly even larger than that. And we sent this letter with the information on the grant to them. I'm not sure, I haven't followed up with Bill Reed if he's heard anything from these folks, but as we were talking, it was really a nice soft diplomacy and a nice way I think Ryan was very happy to reach out to the landowners. And so another just positive thing.
Yeah. One thing I was going to note, the last I knew, and I assume it hasn't changed, the 25 acres or more forest land, the 25 acres don't even have to be in the same town.
I don't know. I know they don't have to be contiguous. I mean, you
Yeah.
can have a couple different parcels.
It's a very generous
District 490.
grant piece. And okay, the next thing we have is the Menstrual Directivity story map. That I don't know how many people have been using that. I've been using it to try to keep straight all the different things that are before planning and zoning.
I looked at it today and I discovered several things I wasn't aware of.
I thought it's just something that it's, it's hard to keep, there's a lot going on in town, right? So these are just the bigger projects, and Linda has done a great job with this. She updates it, every month or so, or every time, basically when there's a project with a public hearing, she tries to update that. So you'll see, the
Yeah.
things that you know about, and then other smaller projects. So just keep
Yeah.
an eye on that. And see if feel free to reach out to me with any questions.
Yeah. 'Cause,
I do, oops.
Yeah, there's a couple of multi-unit development starting through the process that we should probably keep an eye on.
Well,
Yeah.
right now we just have Haven and CMC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I see something behind toast on the agenda for the future.
Oh, yeah, I believe, yeah, I think they came to us for a, where is that?
Yeah.
There's CMC, there's Haven.
This is Four Corners mixed
Four
use.
Corners mixed use development.
Oh, yeah.
And I think we do want to weigh in on that because that's the key to getting a sidewalk connection all along that stretch of 195.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then I see the cottages on Hillside, which I had, that's one I wasn't even thinking it was going to go.
Well, that was a pre-application, and I'm not sure that that's, you can watch the video. They didn't get a overwhelming, there's a lot of things they would have to do, including changing the future land use map in the plan of conservation and development. So there's a lot of,
Yeah.
Let
Yeah.
them do that, and then they can be bought by Yukon.
Yeah. That's over by Daleville Road.
yeah.
I'm not sure how far down the historic district goes there. I think it may include that part, one house up from that intersection.
I think it goes all the way down to Old Turnpike, but I'm not sure I can pull it up. It's on the GIS.
Yeah.
I think it's on Old Turnpike.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah. I know
But I
it
think-
includes the Passmore old colonial houses there. There's like 2 or 3 of them.
But I think both of those, we want to have the opportunity to weigh in on and
Oh.
provide.
Yeah.
You will always have, if it's a special permit and multifamily, it will always be referred to you. So,
But
Yeah.
certainly at the planning stage, I think we found that it helps some.
yep. In terms of, we haven't heard from the Toast at Four Corners. That was back in, it was over a year ago that they came to us. So, and we haven't heard again from them, but, I will definitely let them know about the fact that they would like to, have a field trip like we did with CMC.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a pretty useful resource to check periodically and
Yeah, no, it's excellent.
help keep straight what's where. Mhm. Okay, so that's 2 reports from members.
I have
Unless-
2 other items on staff updates or a couple other
Oh,
things.
okay. Yeah.
The first one is I wanted to thank Juliana because she referred Beth Lawrence to me, who is a faculty at NRE, and now her students are going to be, teaches a wetland ecology class, and her students are going to be doing a management plan for Mount Hope Park. So, and they're, I met with them. We talked about balancing recreation, agriculture, beavers, connections with the Simpson property. So they'll be working with that. I actually have a meeting with the 2 students on Thursday, so that will be good. I wanted to let you know also that Milton Levin, he does all the aerial photography that you see all over the place. We have like a barter agreement with him. So he does work for Parks and Recreation, and so he's taking pictures of the parks, and he's done some beautiful both drone photos and normal on the ground photos. So, and they're all fall pictures. So I have now a really nice catalog of his pictures. So that's really good. And I can't remember if I told you about this before, but the town is undergoing a signage master plan. And we've hired a consultant and we will be kicking off that project pretty soon. That includes everything from gateway signage to our park signs. And that's why I've kind of made sure I'm involved with this, because I want to make sure that, those park signs are in that plan, not only because we want design guidelines for them, but we also want them to be in our budget. So I wanted to let you know about that. And then the final thing is that we are doing interviews for the director of Parks and Recreation. So I'm sure there'll be a new director of Parks and Recreation announced soon. They're interviewing both internal and external candidates. And so I know Jay has done a great job serving as interim for the past 14 months, but so that will be announced soon. So that's all I have.
Okay, so reports from members.
I have a small potatoes kind of just curiosity question. I was in the Dunham Pond Reserve recently, and there's this great old foundation in there that appears to have a well with it as well that is covered up. And there's even a sign post there, but there's no paper or anything in it explaining it. There's no text that's been put in it for a while, it looks like. And the well, we were hoping, I was there with my parents, we were hoping we'd be able to actually look down in it because it has plexiglass over it that looks like it should allow you to do that. But of course, it's been totally grown over with algae and whatever else. So I was wondering if there was script that was written to go into that signpost that could be printed out and I could even take out there. And I was wondering if there's any way to actually clean out the, reach under there with a Swiffer, if anyone can do that, so you can actually see down in the well again. And it's a small little thing, but it was a really interesting little point that I thought would be nice to be able to see better.
Yeah.
I can add the cleaning to Public Works to see what they can do, during slow period. And some of you veteran members, do you remember if we had text for that signpost at any point?
I don't remember.
I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't either.
I mean, we had the brochure and that was helpful, but
Yep.
Yeah.
it would be great to just have something in there and could even just lift it
Yeah.
off whatever's on the brochure. I forget how extensive it was, but
That might be something to ask the Historical Society to research who lived
Yeah.
there, part of their historic houses.
Yeah.
I want to reach out to the Historic Society and ask them that. I mean, I'm not
Sure.
sure. That'd be great. I mean,
I'd be happy to do it. The post is already there. I feel like the heart, the physical work is done. It's just finding the information.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was trying to think back. Yeah. The trees in that foundation, if I remember correctly, aren't that old, because I think I cored one,
Oh, yeah.
and it was like, 20 or 30 years. So So they're probably up a little more than that. I was surprised at how young they were, how long, I don't know how long though it takes trees to get established in an old root cellar hole.
Could be quite a while if it needs to build up kind of good topsoil and stuff. It could be quite a while. I mean, I don't know. It's a really interesting root cellar because it has the lengthy entrance and everything. It's pretty neat.
Yeah.
So I can definitely reach out and see if we can get any information on it. I'd be happy to do that.
At one point in time, we had a style where we put up numbered posts and didn't have a brochure at the place at each location, but we had like a trail guide with numbered posts. Does anybody
Yeah.
remember that at Dunham Pond?
We had it at Merrill Meadow. But
I don't
Yeah.
think there's been ever one at Dunham Pond, not since I've been here.
I don't think so.
I think Merrill Meadow and then the loop trail at Bicentennial Pond.
Yeah.
I think it trail guides, nature trail guides for them, you know.
I assume the Dunham Pond Association still exists,
Yeah,
and so that they should have all the information. They were quite an exclusive group at one point and maintained all of that themselves.
you know,
Okay.
Derek, yeah, Derek Allenson, he'd be interested, if you want to talk with people and kind of gather some information, Miranda, I can give you
Mhm.
some contacts.
That would be
Derek
great.
Allenson would be, and Frank Castigliano maybe, or Kate, is that how you say his last name? But I can give you some names.
Yeah, I'd be happy to do. I mean, I'd love to just stick some information in there and
Yeah, shoot me an email and I will.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be a fun project.
Okay, so that brings us to two communications. The Yukon copy of the link to the winter brochure and the Yukon construction. And there's no comments on that. Jennifer, do we need an executive session?
No, I don't, nothing at this point.
Yeah, that was my understanding. And,
I did look at the Yukon summary,
Yeah,
and I'm not sure where or what pathway to raise some questions. The
Well, if
two
you wanna-
questions I have is they're gonna propose, it looks like you're proposing to use the dredged material to build up the island. But there's no mention about whether the dredged material is environmentally suitable to do so.
yeah.
And then the
So,
other thing, as they changed the whole flow dynamics of that pond, Connecticut DOT may want to look at the adequacy of the culvert under 195.
yeah,
do you want to send that? I can, if you send that to me, Ken, I can send that over to Paul Ferry, or you can send that to him directly over. He's the one who's been working on those projects, and he's usually pretty good about getting back to me. So I can send it over to him,
I'll shoot you an email.
and then I can include it in the packet for the next time we meet, so everyone is aware of the answers to those questions.
Yeah, the text of their proposal does include the calculations for the culvert under 195. This is much like the plan they proposed under what was Hogan, where they didn't have the money to carry it out. They're going to have, I think, 4 huge tubes that they will dredge the sludge into. Two of them down towards the culvert, two up towards the Fine Arts Center. And then they sit there until they're dry enough to be trucked away. I did mention, but got nothing back from Sean Vasington on their stuff. Did show a drag line doing the original work when they piled up the island. I don't know if you people know what a drag line is, but it's basically a large bucket they manage to swing out over wherever they're trying to dig from. And I told Sean, I said, those tubes are expensive and nonsensical to me. Why don't you just get a drag line in there and dump all the fill, polluted or not, around the edges of the pond and on the island if you wish. Now, one awful part of their proposal is a footbridge that will go from the land onto the island. For what purpose, I have no idea. But it didn't look all that good to me. It just looked like a way to cause trouble on the island.
More camping.
And other activities.
Yeah.
Well, I figured that, but because that's university land, it's their problem.
Yeah.
Their problem is our problem, if you haven't figured that out.
Yeah. I was just thinking the old solution at one time was for landscape to send the small payloader in with a cable hook to the big payloader that was up on dry land to pull it back and start digging in the muck.
I was interested. Their historic pictures showed the original work being done with a drag line.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a solution, a lot of things.
It was a small point, but I was kind of appalled at how bright green the architectural drawings of the grass around the pond were, which suggested a over amount of nitrogen, which does then relate to the water quality. And it's not really business, but just something that the notion that maybe the public and the university should be aware of, the dangers of over fertilization.
Yeah, when UConn mostly contract landscape maintenance, they started using high nitrogen fertilizer. It used to be 10-10-10 granular, applied pretty lightly.
Sounds like a research project for some of their environmental people.
Yeah. Jack Clausen should have built a buffer around the pond to screen everything out. Okay, do we have anything else? A motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Okay, second. I see Juliana's hand. Anybody opposed to adjourning? I can instruct Jennifer to stop the recording.